This video is an introduction to building drawings for the National 4 or National 5 Graphic Communication course. A building or construction project requires a complete set of specialised drawings, called a project set, that are used by the local planning department and building control, as well as builders, joiners, plumbers, electricians and water, gas and telephone engineers. The buildings are designed by an architect with a team of technicians and surveyors to help plan and produce the drawings. These drawings are submitted to the local planning department, who decide if the buildings will be given the go-ahead. Then the drawings will be used by the builders to create the building. The type of drawings that you need to know about are location plans, site plans, floor plans, elevations and sectional elevations. You need to understand these drawings and be prepared to answer questions about them. You may be expected to name or recognise different types of plans, British standard symbols and signs that may be included in the plans, scales that the different buildings are commonly drawn at may also be questioned in the exam. Let's look at each one in turn. So starting with the location plan, sometimes called a block plan. Here in the little image we can see almost like a housing estate showing us a number of houses within it. There are also roads actually within that. There is this symbol up in the top corner that looks like a circle with a little arrow inside it, and there are other details on here which we'll come on to explain in a second. So, the location plan identifies the location of a building or construction site in relation to its surroundings. Location plans include the following main pieces of information, not always on every single one, but they're on most location plans. You would expect to see all neighbouring buildings and their plots and boundaries. You would expect to see maybe some street names, roads, pavements, footpaths, a north direction arrow, that's this circle at the top showing which direction north is showing, and you'd always expect to see the scale of the drawing. In the case of a location plan, the scale is normally drawn at 1 to 1250. Now what this means is that 1 millimetre on that drawing represents 1250 millimetres in real life. So the drawing is 1250 times smaller than the actual plan. So moving on to our next one, which is our site plan. So in the site plan, it shows a larger view of a plot, normally highlighted on the location plan. The builder needs to know exactly where the plot of the building is to be constructed, so there's a lot more detail in this drawing. A site plan may include the boundary of the plot, so again showing where the boundary is so that there's no arguments with neighbours about which part of the land is yours. You have the position of the building within the plot. Normally there'll be dimensions with that to show that where you're going to actually start doing the building. You'll have maybe access paths. In this case there aren't any access paths to that house. You'll maybe have trees existing or proposed. So in here the circles with the black dots in them are existing trees. If it didn't have a little dot in it and a little plus sign in it, that would be proposed trees. We maybe have drainage information, pipe runs, manholes, etc. Here the only ones you can really see is that there is a main sewer pipe running underneath the main road, but sometimes you would see the drainage coming from the house to maybe drainage points and then going into the main sewer pipe. And once again, you're going to see things like contour lines which indicate the slope of the ground. In this case here, there are two contour lines running across the page. Both of them have got numbers attached to them. So these represent the height above sea level. One of them says 23.5, the other one says 24. So you can see that the slope is running from the back of the house down towards the front of the house. There's a slight slope in this one. So contour lines, sometimes they're red on a site plan, but they're normally wavy lines with a number attached. You'll have the north direction arrow once again. This allows maybe possibly potential house buyers to understand which way the house is facing. Most people would like to have a south facing garden so that they get the sun. So the north arrow is quite important. The scale of the drawing. So the scale of a site plan is normally 1 to 200. Okay, moving on to the floor plan. This is the type of plan that some of you may have actually seen before. If you've maybe gone to buy a new house with your parents, maybe you've gone to a new estate where they actually haven't built the houses yet, and they give you plans to actually understand what they look like. So sometimes you'll get these floor plans. So the floor plan is an internal view of a house from above. It is used by all trades to plan their work, but as I said, it's also used by them advertising to actually understand what the makeup of the house would be. It gives information to trade people, but also used to show the clients or customers the layout and dimensions of the house before it is built. A floor plan may include the layout and dimensions of the room. So here you can see you have lounges, you have bedrooms, you have bathrooms, kitchens, etc. The position and sizes of windows and doors. In this floor plan, you can actually see the doors are shown as a symbol where the door swings open. And you have got the windows, which are in the walls. You've got layouts of the kitchen and bathroom fixtures and fittings. So in the bathroom, you can see things like shower tray, WCs, bath, etc. In the kitchen, you can see things like sink tops, cookers, etc. Lamps, switches and sockets. So lamps being the light, okay, so you've got those in each room, normally with a little dotted line going to the switch that actually controls it. And then you'll have sockets, your electrical outputs, somewhere around the room as well. You'll also have the scale of the drawing, and a floor plan is normally drawn at 1 to 100 or 1 to 50. The fourth type of plan that we're going to look at are elevations. These are something you should actually be quite comfortable with. You have done a number of elevations throughout your course in third year. So elevations are when you're looking straight on the front or on the side of an object. So in this case here, we've got elevations of a house. So elevations, orthographic views of the outside of the building that enable clients and customers to see what the finished building will look like. Elevations show the style of the building, the external proportions of the building, the external features of the building, for example, window styles, maybe wall finishes. The example I've shown you there doesn't really have any details on it, but sometimes you'll have cornerstones or maybe nice lintels below the windows, sandstone, etc. These would sometimes be shown on elevations. You'll maybe see the type of roof and the position of the doors and windows from the outside. The scale of an elevation is normally drawn at 1 to 100 or 1 to 50. So the next one would be a sectional view. So again, we have done sectional views as part of our course in third year, and we understand it's when you cut down into an object you can actually see inside it. So sectional views are detailed technical drawings showing a slice through a wall. The section is normally taken through a part of the building that will show most detail. So in this case here, it's taken right down through the house, and you can see the foundations of the house, you can see the walls that make it up, you can see the windows, you can see the roof, and you can see up into the attic and all the different materials that make it up. And in this case, there are also dimensions shown. So sections show the materials used, whether it be brick, timber, concrete, etc. Construction details, how things are put together, dimensions, and the scale of the drawing. And the scale in a section is normally 1 to 20. What we've also got as part of the building drawings are a number of building symbols and signs. This is a list of 2 pages that you'd be expected to recognise might be within a floor plan, it might be within a site plan or a location plan, but this is very common in an exam where you'll be expected to recognise different symbols and signs. The following 2 pages is an exhaustive list. The SQA can't ask you anything different from what is on the list, but you must study these to make sure you know which one's which. So the ones in the first row, the lamp, the switch, the socket and the radiator, are all things that you'd expect to see in a floor plan in a house. Similarly with the shower tray, the bath, the wash basin, the sink and the WC, you would expect to see all of them in a floor plan of a house normally when you have the actual bathroom layout. Sink top, you would expect to see maybe in a kitchen. Heated towel rail in a bathroom. Concrete and brickwork, these are the 2 of the symbols that you'd maybe expect to see in a section. Concrete being maybe the foundation making up the house, the brickwork obviously being the brick, the external brickwork of the house. The door you would expect to see in a floor plan. The sawn timber you may expect to see in a section. Similarly with the insulation board and the blockwork. Blockwork being different from brickwork. Blockwork tends to be that sort of lighter type of brick which is in the inside leaf of a house. You then have a series of different windows. You've got a fixed window, meaning it doesn't open. You've got a window hinged at the side. You've got a window hinged at the top and a window hinged at the bottom. You can see that where the point of the arrow is pointing to is where it's actually hinged. The last symbols and signs show a couple more windows. You've got a pivot center window where it actually can pivot about the center. You've got sliding windows sliding horizontally, and then you've got your drainage symbol. This is the one that I talked about where you might see some pipes coming out of the house into drainage and then on to maybe the main sewer. You've got your north sign, which would be expected to see on site plans and location plans, and then you've got your different types of tree. You've got your existing tree, you've got an existing tree to be removed, meaning it's going to be taken out of a plan, or you've got a proposed tree. And the last symbol is the contours. These are the contour lines again showing the height above sea level. So a large list of symbols and signs there. You need to recognise them all, and what's very, very important is that you actually need to get the name exactly correct. Don't put in an extra word or don't miss out a word. So for example, where it was a socket, don't put in something like an electrical socket. You would get no marks if you said that. Where it says switch, if you were to put in something like light switch, again you get no marks. You've got to use the exact term. So having watched this video, you now need to open up the homework on building drawings and attempt as many of the questions as possible. Good luck and enjoy.